Hello everyone and welcome to another Batman miniature game 3rd edition battle report. It has been a long time since one of these has been on the channel, but you have been asking for it, despite me and other people having issues with Knight models and their handling of 3rd edition in general, let alone the unshipped, half-shipped orders during the COVID stuff. COVID is obviously a big problem, but it's not just that's the source. But enough about that, I talked about that in other videos. We are here to try and rekindle some love for 3rd edition. Please do show your support if you want to see more in the future. Let me know seriously, let me know in the comments if you do want more Batman, and I will definitely weigh that against the tipping scales of being annoyed at Knight models. So today for this report, we have 350 rep, give or take. I think both fall slightly under that by like 2 or 3 rep. We have Batman versus the League of Assassins. So here is our Batman crew, and I know what you're thinking, 2 Batman, that's preposterous. Well, that is because if you've seen the unboxing and such, the crew is being led by the Frank Miller Batman. However, he is technically not on the field to start with because he is equipped for 35 rep with the power armor. That does also mean he has 3 power tokens that he can spend on special buffs. Those are just the resource ones for when you play a objective card as a resource, not an objective, but I'm just going to use them to note that he can use those. He can buff his speed, he can buff his attack, he can buff his defense, and I think there's one other I'm forgetting offhand. And if he manipulates a lamppost, he can get 2 of those power things back. His sidekick, or sorry, he's a free agent, but free agent Jason Todd, the newest one for 3rd edition, which is apparently, I've looked into it a little bit now, and it's based on his new line of comics where he's teamed up with Cassandra Cain, I think. He abandoned his Outlaws because they decided they didn't like him either. Then we have Harvey Bullock and 1, 2 and 3 cops from the 3rd edition starter set. So for the League of Assassins, we have almost all new 3rd edition miniatures. We have the new Ra's al Ghul coming out of the Lazarus Pit there. We have Ubu, his bodyguard, and then I don't remember which is which, but we have the new Acolyte box. So Acolyte 1, 2, 3 and 4, 2 of them are ranged, 2 of them are close combat. All new sculpts for 3rd edition, but then we also have Damien who is there, but at least he has an updated 3rd edition card, so it's not as annoying. And yeah, they've got 2 model difference, I think 246 versus 246, no, 1 model difference, sorry, I can't count. 1 model difference in crew size, and that's it. So as we know, in 3rd edition, you just roll for a deployment, or rather you pull out a deployment type from the deck, and for the first time we're also going to have an event in play, similar to Wasteland Warfare if you've seen the covers we've done of that. So we're going to do that first before we know where the teams are deploying. So here we have the deployment type on the right, but then on the left we have a new deck. Well, it's not new, it does come with a 3rd edition box, it's just we haven't used the event cards here. So let's see what kind of deployment we're going to be working with today. It's the one with the line. We have done that one before. We did it when the Ferris wheel was right in the middle, I remember doing that, so let's pull another one. 4 quadrants, okay. Before deploying models, but after choosing deployment zones, each player must place 2 suspect markers at least 8 inches away from their deployment zone, and at least 8 inches away from each other. Alright, we'll do this. This one is called Plunder. I think we have actually done this one as well, but that one with like the impassable wall at the middle, it's a little annoying to set up. So we'll run this one, we'll run Plunder, and the event will be Gotham in Flames. At the start of your first execute the plan phase, place an event marker on the center point of the gaming area. At the start of each subsequent turn in the execute the plan phase, the player without initiative chooses a direction and moves it 2d6. Any model that ends its activation within 4 suffers the fire effect. In addition, all models within 4 are eliminated. Okay, so the level is on fire, essentially. I might be able to get a smoke marker actually to mark that. If I can't, I'll just find a little marker of flame. But yeah, okay, we'll run that. So Plunder, and the city's on fire. So we have everything set up for you. Didn't use one of my actual smoke markers for the fire that's stoked in Gotham thanks to the event, because it's too wide. It'd be an unfair thing because it stretches the 4-inch effect. So we're actually just using what I think is what you're supposed to use, which is an event marker from the 3rd edition box. So anyway, the League of Assassins has deployed on this side. You can see that this Acolyte with the Hawk has Audacity, so does Damien, so does Ubu, and so does Ra's. The others are around him for the free manipulate. Cards are drawn. There's been no cards played on either side for the raise the plan phase. Pardon. It will be the Batman side going first. One thing to cover. Ra's has a skill which gives him 1 extra resource point a turn. However, the Red Hood has a thing where as long as he's alive, the opponent gets 1 less. So they cancel each other out, so both teams still just have 3 to spend. Bullock has hidden, so he is deployed there out of sight. and he also has Audacity. Red Hood is up there with Audacity. Batman is here, he has Audacity, and the cop with the shotgun has Audacity. The other two do not, but obviously they're close enough to Batman that they'll get a free manipulate as well. So yeah, one last thing to mention, it has been a long time since 3rd edition has been played. Anything that's done incorrectly or slightly off, apologies in advance. Got to get that rust off. I actually went back personally and watched my first 3rd edition battle report because I wanted to be reminded of all the little minutiae and the rules, and it helped. So I think it did an okay job teaching 3rd edition is what I'm saying. Anywho, with that, let's get started. So to get battle round 1 started, the GCPD detective with the pistol activated. He did not have Audacity, but because he started next to Batman in his leader radius for 8 inches, is it? I think it's 8, unless you have a roll that extends it. He gets a free manipulate, so for his one action he did a movement action. He moves 10, so he moved up quite far. Then for his free manipulate he did a put down a suspect marker, and it's just outside of 4 inches of the other suspect marker. I forgot to go over that deployment, but the deployment map Plunder had 2 suspect markers down for free for each side. The 2 Batman ones are there, and the 2 League of Assassin ones are there. So he placed that, and that's it. Oh, sorry, we have a correction already. That was not a suspect marker he placed. Very specifically, it was a snitch from the objective deck. So you place a suspect marker, but it becomes a snitch. It cannot be revealed or removed this round. If, however, at the end of the round, there's no enemies within 4 inches of that, you score the card for 3 victory points. So that is in play now. I'll just put it to one side. It's in play. We'll see if the snitch lasts. Depends how fast the Acolyte ninjas are. I guess we'll see as we go over to the League's first activation. So first up for the League was Ubu, and he had Audacity, so he could do a couple of actions. Well, 3, but still. He only needed to do 2 because there was no one in Inspire Fear range. He did a movement action to move where you can see him, and then he did a manipulate to place a suspect marker outside of 4 of the one over there of his own, getting a little bit dangerously close to the fire in the middle of the map that could move depending on how it goes towards him. Back over to Batman. Batman in his 4 endurance power armor was next, which does make him slow. He absorbed one of the power counters to give himself 4 extra inches of movement. However, his armor reduces by 2, so really you're only getting 2 extra for 10. But he did a move action for 10 to get where you can see him, and that's it. Nothing else he could do this turn. He couldn't reach. His sonic gun that he has in the power armor is a fan, it's not a range, so nothing in range for him to shoot yet. League Acolyte 4 was next. He started close enough to Raish that he had a free Inspire, but all he did was use a movement action. 10 inches to move up to where you can see him. That is not enough to get anywhere close to the snitch marker at all. So yeah, he's just parked up there, slight height advantage, with eyes on where the enemy forces are coming down. The GCPD cop who brought a taser to a bow and arrow fight activated next. She was out of range for a manipulate, so all she could do is a real quick movement over to where you can see her right there. Likewise for the League Acolyte, he has also just done a movement action up there, heading towards trouble. And 2 more activations, 1 for each side of just movement followed. The cop with the shotgun moved up to the sewer green, did not activate it even though he had Audacity. And then also this Acolyte with the jumping sword attack, he just did a move as well and did nothing else. So now it's back over to Batman for either Red Hood or Bullock, both of which have Audacity, and it's still Damien, Raish and one of the Acolytes for the League. So it was Bullock who activated, and he had Audacity, so he did a move action, then a tactical action. He shot his pistol at the closest Acolyte with the knives. He moved, so it was -2 rate of fire. However, the one shot that he got after all said and done, however, did hit. I said however too many times there. For 1 blood, 1 stun to the Acolyte. The stun will heal at the end of a turn, unless he gets taken out before that. Back over to the League. So 2 more activations, just quickly to cover. Damien activated, and he just moved up his normal 10, and did nothing else with his Audacity because he's too close to a friendly suspect marker. Then Red Hood activated with Audacity. He did a move, and he's 12 inches, he's very fast, and then he placed a suspect marker because it's outside of 4 of that. So now that's all for the Batman side, so Raish and his final Acolyte down here just get to activate and then bring us to the end of the battle round. So at the end of the battle round, Raish just moved up, didn't do anything else with his turn. This Acolyte moved up. He could have used a special action to use Good Aim, which lets you move and fire weapons that have aim, and the bow does. However, his rate of fire would drop below 0, so presumably he can't do that, and the advantage is being able to fire then move if you use Good Aim as the Acolytes at least. So that does take us to the end of the battle round, and that does mean that I was going to call it the scoop card, the snitch card for Batman has scored, so that's 3 victory points to Team Batman as I knock over a lamppost. However, the League have also scored do not deviate from the plan. The opponent doesn't reveal any of your friendly suspect markers this round as long as you placed at least one. Ubu placed 1. And there was 2 placed by the scenario, but I'm not sure those will count. So that is 2 points. So behind the Batman crew by 1. 1 stun will be healed from this Acolyte. The blood won't be healed though. And we're... Oh, and of course, that does also mean that the fire moves 2d6 in the direction of the League's choosing. We'll cover that at the top of Battle Round 2. And so at the top of turn 2 you can see who has Audacity for the League. Damien, Ubu, the Acolyte who got wounded last turn, and Raish. Also the fire has moved. It was only 2 and 2, so 4 inches towards this cluster. So remember, any miniature that ends their activation within 4 of it was it burned? Burn 1? Firefight, so yeah, burn 1 essentially. Then over here you can see the people with Audacity as well. The cop with the shotgun, Batman, the detective with the pistol, and Red Hood all the way over there. There is no cards being played in the initial race of plan, so it's straight on to League of Assassins going first for Battle Round 2. So Ra's al Ghul was up first with Audacity. He activated Crit Casualty for his special action. Then he did a movement action to get into base to base with Bullock. The Crit Casualty just means if he gets a 6 on the strength dice he instantly kills, and he did actually get it. Not that he needed it, because he rolled very well, despite him minusing one of his own attacks for being arrogant. So if he's attacking someone who's lower rep than him, he goes down from 5 attack dice to 4, plus his strength die, but still. So yeah, he did 8 damage to Bullock. So Bullock is eviscerated, destroyed, removed, turned to mush. No cards stolen, scored rather, for doing that, but that is 1 miniature off the table. So Raish's arrogance might be his undoing. The JCPD detective activated with Audacity. He shot his pistol. Totally forgot how effective guns are in 3rd edition. Raish took 3 blood and 3 stun from the pistol damage, and then the GCPD detective just did a move action to retreat out of 4 inches of the burning fire that's spreading over the middle of the map. So Raish is in a spot of bother now. I think he's 9 health, 8 endurance, 8 willpower, or thereabouts. Let's see what happens. Damien activated next and was surprisingly unbloodthirsty despite having Audacity. He did a move action and placed a suspect marker where you can see it, creating this Triforce of Trinity here, which in turn has scored We Cannot Be Defeated for 2 victory points. Have at least 3 friendly suspects in play that are within 6 inches of each other. They're outside of 4 as per the rules, but they're within 6. So that has scored. He didn't go for any blood, but he got what mattered, victory points. So Frank Miller's Batman was the next activate, and it did create an interesting situation where we introduce an objective card where you attempt to score it and presumably it's played. Even if the scoring condition is not met, it presumably is discarded. So to go over it, he activated with Audacity, he moved, and then I'm the Surgeon, his unique card was activated, so he moved out of range to the fire incidentally. Any other minions within 4 inches are knocked back 4, so this Acolyte got knocked back 4. Then they both simultaneously hit each other, and if you knock out the enemy boss, you score the card. Now, as it turns out, rolled quite badly. Raish only took 2 more stun damage, putting him at like 5 in total out of the 8 or 7 he's got, so he's fine. And he did pretty well with his strikebacks, despite medium armor, well, when he had his medium armor on, means you lose 2 attack dice, and Bat Armor MK1 means you lose the strength die, so he was only rolling 3 basic dice. 2 still managed to get through, and did 2 blood each, so that was enough to remove the armor. That's not on his card, because it just destroyed the armor, but he's down to his normal bat suit now, so he's lost his perks. And also on his attacks, despite doing so badly, he did use up 1 more power thing to mean that 2 successful blocks were required to block a single hit. But either way, that means this card was attempted, and it has to be attempted because both leaders have to strike at each other, so you have to play it to be, to meet that criteria. But because the boss wasn't KO'd, it isn't scored. And presumably it doesn't just go back into the hand, it gets discarded. Not 100% sure, that is not clear, but we're playing it that this is now in the discarded pile. Batman failed in his goal to take out Raish. There's still a few more guns around that might do the job though, we'll see. This Acolyte here was next activated, and he just wanted to take a pot shot at Batman, so he stayed still, he didn't have Audacity. So he took a shot at his back and still managed to whiff, even though the bow is mechanical, and it has aim, so he couldn't have moved afterwards even if he wanted to. It's the other one that has good aim, I think, to get around that. So the GCPD cop with the shotgun was next up, and he has a non-lethal shotgun. Where he was standing, it's medium range. He took pot shots at Raish, did really well, did 4 stun. That is enough to knock Raish out. Now Raish has a mortal, whereas if he's removed as a casualty, he doesn't contribute to anything objective card wise that would score points. That doesn't cover being knocked out, just casualty. So that means Dirty Job has been scored for 1 for the Team Batman. Make an enemy model KO or a casualty, but in this case it was KO, so it still counts. So that scored. Then he did move action to where you can see, and that's it. That was his turn. He did really well. Raish is obviously knocked out. He'll get a chance to wake up at the end of the turn. So next activation for the League was the Eagle wielding League Acolyte. He stayed where he was and fired his well, he only has 1 because he brings 1 to the battle apparently. 1 poison arrow at Red Hood, so it poisoned him, and he has a couple of rules relevant here. Hardened, which lowers damage taken by 1 to a minimum of 1, and Kevlar Vest, which I might have mixed those rules up, but Kevlar Vest lets him change, no, Hardened lets him change 1 damage taken to another type. Kevlar Vest makes him take 1 less damage from an attack once per game turn, I believe. So instead of taking 4 blood, it became 3 blood, which he then converted to 2 blood and 1 stun, but he is still poisoned, so you'll have to get rid of that on his turn. 2 quick just movement activations to cover. So the taser wielding JCPD Lady Cop has moved into base to base with that suspect marker there. Could not manipulate it though, so she just did a move action. And then for the League, the sword acolyte that was there again just moved his 10 inches right into there to potentially cause some trouble next turn, but he didn't have Audacity, so he couldn't do anything else. So it's right back around to, I think, just Red Hood. Yeah, just Red Hood. So Red Hood activated with his Audacity. He did a move action, and then he attacked with his katana against the acolyte here, and as the dog just stood on one of our toys. He got 3 hits through for 6 blood. This acolyte has been removed, and in doing so another, one of 2 more in the deck, Dirty Job has been scored for KOing / casualtying a miniature. So it's gone for 1 victory point. So now Ubu and this acolyte, both with Audacity, just get to act because there's no one else left on the Batman side. So to go over the final 2 activations of Battle Round 2 to take us to the halfway point. This acolyte activated, moved up, attacked Batman and could not hurt him. Did notice a mistake, forgot that this Batman had combo unarmed, so that may have mattered for Raish, although Raish got knocked out anyway, so in the long run it probably doesn't matter. May have done for that objective card, too late to go back now. Then Ubu activated, he went after Red Hood, almost said Red Skull. The curse is reversed. He hit him and did 4 because 2 hits got through, but Hardened, the Kevlar Vest always reduces by 1, it's just he can only use Hardened once per turn. So 3 more blood damage. He has 2 blood left, one of which he might lose at the end of the turn to poison. We'll discover that as we go into the cleanup for the second battle round. So to cover the cleanup stuff, Red Hood fought off the poison and it's gone now without doing any damage to him. Raish has also woken up, but he's knocked down. And both sides scored the same number of victory points this turn at 2 each, so not sure who gets priority for moving Gotham in Flames because it doesn't specify. It just says whoever lost the round. So the way we handled it was that the team that didn't get initiative for the next turn on the dice roll got to move the flame. Batman's team will be going first in Battle Round 3, so the League wanted to move the flame that way. It moved 2 inches, Snake Eyes, so didn't really move much at all. We'll cover who gets Audacity and whatnot at the top of turn 3. So Batman got Battle Round 3 started. He split his attacks, he put 2 on Raish to try and re-knock him out and they whiffed. But the other attacks plus the combo adding in a bonus 1 got 3 through on this acolyte for 6 stun, so he is now knocked out and will not get a turn until he wakes up, if he wakes up for the last turn. So with that, over to the League's first activation this turn. Ubu activated and unleashed his fury on poor Red Hood. As you can see, he did 8 damage and that has actually murdered the Red Hood. And it also scored Lazarus Pit, inflict a casualty or KO in melee more than 8 inches away from any other enemy model. She's roughly 10 inches away, so he is gone, and 2 points have been scored this turn for League of Assassins. So no longer will he be known just as the GCPD cop with the riot shotgun, because Officer Merkel had a heck of a turn there. He had Audacity, so he did a move to slip on through, then he did a special action to arrest the acolyte that was there knocked out, which in turn scored Get Them Off the Streets, arrest a model, scored 3 victory points, very worth it. Then he shot his last shotgun shells into Raish and re-knocked him out. Excellent turn. It put him in danger, but excellent turn. The Acolyte with the sword activated, he had Audacity, he did a movement action, then he did a Manipulate to remove this suspect marker off the field for the enemy, which in turn triggered the Fire, which is he revealed a suspect marker within 6 inches of his boss. Presumably it still counts with Raish because he's unconscious. He's still on the table, and it doesn't say that doesn't count, so presumably it scores. He forgoed going after revenge against Officer Merkel to score those points, so it better be worth it. So a simple quiet activation next from the taser wielding JCPD cop. She simply just did a manip to reveal the enemy suspect marker she was in base to base with, which in turn triggered Comb Through Everything, so she scores that for 2. Also it means you draw 2 cards from the objective deck and then you have to discard 1 to get back up to your 4. So that has been done, and now it's back over to the league. So Damien was up next, and he also resisted the urge to just go for kills, because in 3rd edition you've got to worry about those objective cards, and apparently this is the turn in which everybody is doing that. So he used his special to do his backlaw to get over to where he was in base to base with an enemy suspect marker. He then placed enemy suspect marker. He then placed his own, and that triggered Under Their Noses for 2 victory points. Placed a suspect marker within 4 of an enemy suspect marker, basically point blank. The distance, remember, you can't place within 4 of your own, or within 2 of your deployment is the other rule. So now it's over to the detective for Batman, and I think Raish's side. Oh, still got him over here. He hasn't gone yet. Okay. So we've got a bit of a rules conundrum to go over here with the JCPD detective's turn. He moved into base to base with Raish. He has Audacity, so he used his special to do an arrest. It does mean also he's going to get set on fire because of how close he is to that, I believe. But either way, that's not important. What's important is he's arresting Raish. So, step 1. There was another Get Them Off the Streets. So that means it should score 3 because it's arrest a model and that action has taken place. However, if we grab Raish's card, which is here ready, Raish has a mortal. Removing this model as a casualty cannot fulfill the requirements of an opponent's objective card. Now again, that could be argued, you're still doing the arrest action, the card does not say make a casualty. But then, if we just pull up the JCP Detective's card and read what arrest does. When in contact with a KO model, this model may immediately remove the KO'd model from the game as a casualty. So what trumps what here? Does the card score in the action of the arrest or the outcome of the arrest? I don't know. It depends which point you stop reading at, basically. Because the mortal card just says it will not fulfill an opponent's objective card as a casualty. But the casualty is only mentioned as an arrest, which is when you do an action it becomes a casualty. And the card requires the action, not the result, if you know what I mean. So, I don't know. I think a mortal in this edition seems pretty useless if it doesn't counter this, so we're going to play it that this is gone and didn't score. It goes back in the deck, because we just brought it out for an example. That's how we're playing it. If that's wrong, explain why, because that's confusing as all H-word. So now, over to this simple archer over here to do something basic to end the second last turn. So the Acolyte with the bow fired his last normal arrow at the back of Merkel's head, smacked him for 2 blood damage. And that does take us to the end of the penultimate turn with a lot of points scored. We're going to need to go see who had the majority there to move the fire. The JCP Detective is going to have a fire token now as well. There's no KO checks, everyone heals 1 stun. Let's see what happens. So no end of turn cards to play. It will be Batman's crew going first in the final battle round. The League moved the fire from roughly theirs to right next to Merkel. A little bit vindictive, you know, whatever. There's a fire token on the Detective as discussed. And I think that covers everything. We're now going to jump into the final battle round, see if any cards are being played at the Raise the Plan phase. So at the top of battle round 4, both sides only have 4 miniatures left, so everybody has Audacity. And in terms of Raise the Plan phase cards being played, the League of Assassins is playing Die Hard, which is the choose one of your models that's not the boss. If that model is not killed or removed as a casualty, score at the end of the turn. Ubu is being selected, so as long as he's alive at the end of his turn, that's 2 guaranteed victory points for the League. And now we're on to Batman's side going first. So Batman got us started. He did a move action to get into base to base. He tipped slightly, but they're in base to base. And then punched the lights out of the Acolyte here, did 4 stun. He's got 1 stun damage left on him, but he is conscious, so we'll see what happens. Oh, apologies, there was another card played in the Raise a Plan phase for this turn, totally forgot. From the Shadows was played. Target an enemy model and mark it as an objective. If the model is the first model you remove as a casualty this round, score this card for the League of Assassins. Officer Merkel has been selected as the target. Forgot to cover that, it was put to one side already, so it and Die Hard are in play, potentially 4 points on the line there. So it was important to cover that because this Acolyte Assassin activated, he did a move action, then he did an attack action against Merkel. Merkel did quite well, 1 hit got through for 2 blood, remember he already had 2 blood. Merkel has 1 HP remaining. Whether or not anyone's going to be able to get that, not sure. So Officer Merkel activated, he did not have any ammo left, so he just flung some fists at the Acolyte Assassin that was trying to kill him. He was also going to set himself on fire, but it's the last turn, so it doesn't matter. Didn't do any hits, so then he retreated down to there, and he had a free manipulate action from being within range of Batman at the start of his activation, so he did it to put down a suspect marker, but didn't score anything. Very, very unlikely that From the Shadows is going to do anything, and in general, there's not much else to be done. Just looking at it off camera, Ubu's not going to go down. Even if Damien wanted to go kill this cop, there's no scoring opportunity to be had objectives wise. There is one last thing that matters, and it's the JCPD detective's turn, which we're going to cover now real quick. So the JCPD detective, despite being on fire, just ignored it, so he'll take a total of 2 blood damage at the end of the turn, which won't kill him. He moved over here, he's revealing this suspect marker specifically so he can score another comb through the evidence for 2 victory points. And again, because this archer's bow has aim, he can't move and fire it, he can't reach Merkel, he can't kill Batman even if he did maximum punching damage, so there's nothing for him to do. Damien could kill someone out of spite, but it wouldn't score anything. So with that, I think we're at the end of the game. Die Hard will score for the League, and that will mean we're going to go see who wins. So we have before you the 2 piles of victory cards, or objective cards. Let's see. So the League, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 victory points. And Batman, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wow. It was actually a draw. Alright, well there you have it. It was actually a draw. Can't believe it. So it was nice to return to Batman. The 3rd edition is very interesting. It's so bloody and quick compared to the 2nd edition. The reason I hadn't been on the channel for long enough was not anything to do with disliking the 3rd edition. 3rd edition is good. A little less ambiguity regarding certain things would be nice, but what can you expect? It's mostly just been with the shipping and ignoring customers, censoring customers on Facebook and YouTube comments, etc., including me, which I don't like from Night Models. The baffling decision to release new minis, reissued old ones, like the Frank Miller Batman here is just the old sculpt on a new couple of stones. So, you know, instead of releasing rules for, I don't know, Bane's crew, well, Bane / Militia, Penguin, Riddler, you know, just why not get all your old crews up to spec? That's what people want, and then they'll be interested in the new stuff. That's the part I'm struggling with for 3rd edition, but if you lot want to see more of it, you can tip the scales in your balance by letting me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed, thank you very much for watching, please do remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ta for now.